And to have your birthday party, at McDonald's, like you were the shit. Like you were someone to have your birthday party at McDonald's.
And like
Mm-hmm.
honestly, that's where I am with my kids. Like every time I get upset with them, I'm like, these ungrateful entitled, because I'm like, I can't even believe that
Mm-hmm.
you feel like it's so terrible for you. What I need to do is like take them to like a shelter
Mm-hmm.
and have them spend some time doing something like that because I just shake my head so much. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, are you really going to cry because your third pair of shoes this year is delayed?
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm like, are you really
Mm-hmm.
about to be throwing a small fit because you're not going to eat chicken nuggets? Like, what if you didn't
Mm-mm.
have anything to eat?
Mm-mm.
There are
It's
people
all
who actually have no food.
it's like those kids that were freaking out when they were like, "I'm sorry, baby, but we can't go to McDonald's today. We can't go anywhere to eat." And the kids were like freaking out and crying. I was like, I was so grateful when my grandpa would take me to McDonald's and buy me a Happy Meal. And that was not often. I mean, that was like maybe once a month, if that, just because it was a
Mhm.
luxury to just go and spend money on like food from the restaurant or whatever. And to have
Yeah.
your birthday party at McDonald's, like you were the shit. Like you were someone to have your birthday party at McDonald's and to have all them kids
Right.
get all them burgers and fries and it be paid for by the parent who ran the party, you
Okay,
know?
and those little parties are not cheap. I think I probably
No.
paid McDonald's at least $300-400 for that party.
Right. Right, exactly, exactly. Oh my god, those were the best. Those were the best. And I still like. Now I'm craving McDonald's because I haven't had McDonald's in like forever. And it's not like the most amazing burger ever. You know, I think
Right.
Whataburger's totally better than McDonald's. But
Oh my god.
yes, yes. And I think Jack in the Box tacos. I'm so
Wow.
craving Jack in the Box tacos. I was trying to figure out. I was like, okay, because I order from that app, and because I'm not willing to go through a drive-through yet. I'm just that paranoid, so
Mhm.
I'm not willing to go through a
Yeah.
drive-through. But I've been ordering through that app where they deliver your food, and
Mhm.
so I have been craving several things that I haven't had in a while, and I have been craving the Jack in the Box tacos. I used to like go through Jack in the Box, and I used to do this like for a while. I was doing this in secret because like my partner was like, don't eat bad because your blood pressure is going to go up and all this other stuff. Okay, well I'm just
Mhm.
going to go run some errands, and then I'd go through the Jack in the Box and I'd order an ultimate breakfast sandwich, and then I'd order like. I used to, well, this was my original. So it was like ultimate breakfast sandwich. And then I would order six tacos. And then I would order like a large
Mhm.
fries and then a large curly fries and then a large Diet Coke. Always a
Oh,
Diet Coke.
oh my
Like I never
god.
did regular Coke. Always a Diet Coke, right? Because I was like, Diet Coke's good. I love my Diet Coke. I can drink Diet Coke all day. So that was my thing. And then, like, I
Mhm.
guess as time went on and you get older, you just don't eat as much or you just can't fit as much into your stomach. And so I went down from
Yeah.
like six tacos to four tacos. And then I used to add actually a jumbo jack to that whole order. And that was like the full meal. And so the jumbo jack
Oh
went
my
away first. And then it went down to four tacos. And then, so yeah. And then only one fries. Yeah.
You can eat. But
Yeah.
that sounds like a really good time. I love curly fries
Oh,
from Jack in the
yeah.
Box. I love the Jack in the Box tacos.
Yes.
Like, it's not like they're made from the most decadent meat, but oh my
Mm-mm.
gosh, the crunch on those
No.
things,
Yes. Oh
they're
my god, I'm
so
making.
good.
I was trying to like a few weeks ago I was looking online and I was trying to find if cuz there's some app, I think it's called Potbelly or something where you can order food or something belly, but you can order food from like different restaurants all across the country and they will send it to you in the mail and they'll like it'll be all frozen up and everything. Yeah, so I'm like cool cuz my friends are always sending me like they're always sending me like bagels or like random stuff, And so I was like, okay, cool. But I was looking and I was like, are you on here, Jack in the Box? They're not on there. I was like, ah. And there's a Jack in the Box here in New Mexico, but I don't feel like driving I will drive to all the way to Albuquerque actually for them. But it's like, I still haven't been able to go through a drive through. So I'm like, and I only have like
Yeah.
six fast food places that I can order from. And
Uh,
it's not one of them. And neither is McDonald's. I'm like, y'all need to get your game together. I don't know what the hell y'all are thinking. This is the
you
pandemic,
know, I
y'all.
think I think McDonald's has their own order and delivery service, or they associate with
Huh.
somebody. Because I know because Michaela keeps asking me if I want her to order McDonald's, and I'm like, no, it must be some app or something. And I'm
Huh.
like, no, that's you're not ordering McDonald's. But I think they have some way they can do delivery.
Interesting.
I was gonna ask you before you said that you couldn't get to the Jack in the Box if there were any restaurants there that we have at home that you
Mm-hmm.
guys don't have. Lots.
Yeah, there's a couple. Like we don't like. There is a Whataburger in Albuquerque. That's like the closest one. But I mean, I used to like go to hit Whataburger up like a couple times a month. But what is it like? One thing that I miss is like breakfast tacos. Even though it's not like a particular chain, it's just
Mhm.
breakfast tacos because they have everything here. I mean, they pretty much have. At Santa Fe, they have everything. It's like a small town feel, but they got all the major amenities, so you can find everything here.
Mhm.
Cost plus, all that other stuff. Whole Foods, but like I miss breakfast tacos because here it's breakfast burritos. Everything's a freaking burrito. So it's like a like a big old tortilla, and then it's like a big old. It's almost like the Chipotle like burrito
Uh-huh.
size type. Like everything's that size burrito, but they don't have like. It's not a common thing to order breakfast tacos or like breakfast taco trucks or places where you can only get like a breakfast tacos or whatever. And I kind of miss my breakfast tacos because here the Mexican food it's a mix with Pueblo style food, but it's also like a different type of Mexican. It's not
Yeah.
Tex-Mex. Tex-Mex is like the taco
Mhm.
stuff, the whole taco vibe. That's
Yeah.
Tex-Mex or California. So I miss breakfast
Yeah.
tacos. So I just make them myself.
Mhm. Yeah. Sometimes I think those are the best ones. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember growing up, but my mom would sometimes make breakfast tacos with like sausage
Mm-hmm.
and eggs and
Mm-hmm.
salsa.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, just reflecting back on those
Uh,
times. Those were good
yeah,
times.
yeah. Well, I'm making enchiladas tonight, so like I'm looking for
Are
because I
you
was.
really?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like we
Burning.
were we were walking on the trail like right before I got on here. Like we were walking on the trail and I went to go take a shower. But I was like, one thing that I am grateful for the fact that we're here because we're kind of in a neighborhood that's kind of on the outskirts of like city Santa Fe, so we're not technically in Santa Fe. And even though our neighborhood is like 6,000 residents, but we have a few at the front. We have like these little shops and stores and like food places. And one thing is that if you want fast food, you got to go drive in and get it, unless you've been ordering through the app, which is what I've been doing. But it's just like, I don't really crave it that often enough, and it's not worth it. It's got to be really worth it for me to like want to go and drive, and it's like a 15-minute drive into town to get something, which is no different than driving from like my side of town in Houston to the opposite side where I used to go and buy stuff
Right.
on the other side of downtown. Um, but I I miss fast food, but I was like, I'm so grateful we don't have the immediate access to fast food places because if you want fast food,
Mhm.
you really got to really want it, or it's just going to be very inconvenient or costly to have it. And like we don't eat out, but like maybe once a month, if that. So everything we eat is pretty much like homemade stuff that I buy
Yeah.
and make myself. But I'm making enchiladas tonight, so I've already got some chicken that I already shredded, and I'm gonna make my enchiladas with some beans and some cheese. And we can't find the right sauce because the sauce we used to use was Trader Joe's sauce, and that's the closest thing to like
Yeah.
an authentic sauce that I've tasted. So we're gonna try something new tonight. So hopefully it comes out good because I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, actually, okay, so last week I found out that I needed to remember my routine. I
Ah.
was talking to you about my schedule
Mm.
at home.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. I set everything up and I had so much more time and I had so much less
Mm.
stress, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't have to eat out because I didn't have to try to scramble to feed people.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that was an adjustment for, the kids, but I don't care. Like we need to be eating better,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with us eating out or eating fast food really, but that's not how I want to be every day. And I remember a time when I was growing up, my mom either would get Taco Bell or McDonald's. And this
Mm.
was when McDonald's had those like plasticky rubber Happy Meal bags. And I
Mm-hmm.
can still remember the smell of the fries in the bag every time I would
Mm.
get it. And I would be like, this smells like poison. But, I was like, "Great."
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-mm.
So I don't know. I'm grateful for that because I mean, I like cooking. It just takes time, so I
Mm-hmm.
had to like create that in my schedule and then just to be spending more time with them and watching
Mm.
movies and things they want to do as opposed to like,
Yeah.
well, let me hurry up and scramble and get this work done. Like, I made the space where I needed to. I also took a
Mm.
day off because I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to take a break. I was just like a voice.
But it's necessary. Like sometimes you just have to treat yourself. Sometimes you have to give yourself a little extra time. And I think like I was supposed to connect with Shannon last week because we were going to do a channeling session on Thursday, and I wasn't really feeling it, but I was like, I'm going to do it anyways because this is important for people. And then he was like, I'm so sorry, but I'm not. Like I have to go get my mouth fixed or something. Like I was like, that's okay. I'm fine. Like we just won't do it this week.
Right.
And then this week we were going to do it this week, and he's still having to deal with the same issue. So I was like, that's fine. So we have it set for next Thursday. But it's like, oh my God, I get an extra day off that I didn't plan for. So, and at that point, I literally just like, I walked around in a circle in the living room, like, okay, what do I do now? And I'm not used to that. I'm used to like hustling and like having to push myself every second, trying to like catch up to everything that I'm supposed to be doing. And like, I haven't put out an article in a few weeks because I just haven't felt inspired to write. And I even told Roxy and Reagan, I was like, hey y'all, I'm taking a little bit of a break from writing articles. So don't expect an article from me for a few weeks. I'm just like not there mentally, and I don't feel like writing. And I'm just going to like enjoy some of the time off that I have, because God knows I'm probably going to need that since everything is about to get a little crazy as we get closer to the election anyways. Right. So I'm like, let me just like enjoy this, because what if everything goes to hell in a handbasket and then, everything collapses, my business fails, and then we have to move to like, some random place on the beach somewhere in Mexico. It's like whatever. And so I'm like, let me just enjoy this right now, because them articles aren't worth me stressing myself out. I try to like pump out some content or something every freaking, free moment that I get. Yeah. So I was like, I'm just going to enjoy this time off and just be calm and enjoy this like quiet serenity period, so that's what I've been,
I think as creatives, we don't let ourselves do that enough.
Yeah.
Like we really feel like we have to be nose to the grindstone, hustle, hustle, hustle all the time to like, produce. And I feel like we just don't. There are things that I have just said, I don't have to do this anymore. And like in the past, I would have been like, no, I have to make sure that I meet all my little metrics that I set for myself, because no one else is setting these metrics. Like people are not like, well, if she don't put out an episode this week, I'm gonna cut her. Like they're not doing that. That's me like saying if I don't do it. So like I just designed this show, like I'll just in 1 month I make sure that I make 4 interviews, and then I take those 4 interviews and cut them in half into 4 and then release it every week. But like, because my thing was I was wanting to be consistent, but like the way things are right now and with the kids in school, I'm like, there is no way that I'm going to sit and do an episode every week where I'm going to record it and I'm going to edit it and I'm going to be a full-time mom and I'm going to be supporting all the people that I support. There's just no way.
Yeah. Well, I think that has already been changing anyways, because like a lot of these before COVID, like a lot of these series and shows, like they would come out, they were only making like 12 episodes and they would do like 4 or 5, and then some break would come up or they'd be not on for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then they would put out the other 4. And I was noticing that with several series. I'm like, okay, well, they're not staying consistent and putting something out every single week. Some weeks they're taking like a break or something. And so I'm like, okay, well, why is the standard different for us? And granted, we have an audience. Granted, we have people who are like, they're going to our content and they're coming and they're looking us up, or they're, but at the same time, life is fucking life. Like to have to do something every week on the clock, it's like, I try to be on time for my appointments. That's my priority. For me to be on time for all the lives ain't gonna happen, because it just is not gonna happen. So I'll be there roundabouts that time, and I'm there and I'm doing free readings. I think that's enough. I think that's enough for me to be on the clock. Like, unless this is like I'm getting paid by a sponsor and I need to be like clocking it, then that's a different story. I will work my schedule around that. But no, it's too much. We have a lot of responsibilities, and the show, all the content creation, that's all extra. It's not like we're getting paid a ton of money to do that. That's just stuff that was our passion. It's a labor of love, and we have our own other jobs. I have my clientele base, and you've got your own job as well. And so all this other stuff is extra, but it is a labor of love. And I think if you love it and it means something to you, do something with it, do something with it, and like, spend a little time, invest a little time and energy, put some stuff out, put some content out. And it's really, that's most important thing anyways. And now we're in a pause and play world where you can pause in everything and you can come back and finish watching something if you want. It doesn't have to be like on the clock, etc. That's just the way I feel.
And actually, I've seen a lot better downloads with the way I was doing it than when I was
Yeah.
trying to produce something fresh,
Yeah.
because it's still
Yeah.
fresh. They haven't heard it before, but I'm not stressed.
So did you
So
see
do you have
my,
another one?
did I what?
Oh, did I see your what?
Did you see my post earlier this week where I had a dream, another dream about,
Yeah.
yeah. So I had a dream about, it was an interesting dream because it was a dream where I was like walking in a mall and it was in
Hmm.
Houston. I knew it was in Houston and I was freaking out because there was a lot of people in the mall. Not all of them were wearing, actually, a lot of them were not wearing masks or wearing masks properly.
Hmm.
And I, in the dream, was like trying to wear my mask properly, but I was only wearing it underneath my nose, not necessarily covering my
Well,
nose. So I was freaking out in the dream because I felt like I was exposing myself to COVID. And it was Houston because there was also like a NASA exhibit and they were doing like, people were sitting down next to each other. And there was this woman sitting next to me. And I was like, girl, like, you better get away from me because you ain't even got nothing on your face. And, I ain't trying to get ill. So I'm going to need you to like scoot on over. And then I left that place in the dream. And then I was driving through like the old part of town that I lived on. And I was trying to figure out where to park my truck because I was like, oh my God, I am worried about flooding. It's going to flood. And I know that there's, water going to be coming up and I need to like park my truck high up so that is not going to get flooded out. And then like I found a spot in like a second story garage thing. And then that was it. And I was done. So that was interesting. And I woke up and I was like, okay. And I remembered it. And it was sometimes when I wake up from a dream and I remember it clearly and it feels significant, I know it's significant. And so I was like, okay, well, let me write this down. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be sharing this with people. So I like posted it on Instagram. But what I'm finding now and when I'm figuring out, and this is something I've been learning like in the last few months because, whenever I tune into the future, when I tune in trying to see anything or detail or anything like that, I always assume that I'm tuning into the most likely event that's going to take place. And what I've been discovering is that sometimes when I'm tuning in, it isn't always the likely event that's going to take place. It's the likely event that everybody believes is going to take place sometimes. And so sometimes, like for example, like that chart that I like did a few months back where there was a chart that looks almost identical to the chart that's officially been put out about the cases of COVID, positive COVID cases in the US.
yeah.
It's like almost identical. And what ended up happening is that even though that is the official chart and mine's is like almost identical, the numbers aren't correct. The numbers aren't accurate. Reporting's not accurate. None of that is like, it's trustworthy because there's been so many discrepancies either with the testing or with the numbers being reported. And so I'm like, well, wouldn't I see or wouldn't have I sensed the accurate number? But I don't think anyone knows at this point what the accurate number is. And I think, and what I saw was the official posted chart, not the accurate number. And so I've been realizing like a month or two ago when I was having that dream about that hurricane or whatever, and I was worried about the flooding, it didn't actually hit Houston, but it did impact that area severely. And so it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, it didn't hit Houston. So what the hell was that about? So when I had this dream this week, I was like, you know what? This might not be something that's going to threaten Houston, but it might be enough of an issue in the area that it's going to make headlines and people are going to think or be worried or concerned about it. And maybe the dream was a reflection of people's anxieties or fears or whatever. And so I thought maybe that's what it is. So I even posted, when I posted it on Instagram, I said, hey y'all, just FYI, I had a dream. This was my dream. COVID cases may be going up, or there may be a lot more of it spreading, or the numbers may go up in Houston. So y'all need to be following the guidelines. But also, there might be the potential of flooding in the area, but there may not actually be anything hitting Houston. It just may be something that makes headlines in the area, which it was Delta. And so that ended up being what was poor Louisiana. I don't even know what to say about Louisiana.
Their ass kicked.
Girl, it's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah, that's like what, like three in a row?
Mm-hmm.
Because those two that we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
last time go over there.
Yep.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was the first one that went up there and it kind of spattered out. And then there was the second one, which is the one we talked about the last time. And then it was Delta, which is the third with Delta Burks. So,
Yeah.
that was
Oh
the
my
third.
God, I love her. Don't play with me. That's my show, Designing
Oh my
Women.
god! Oh my god! I love Designing Women. Oh my god! Some of these shows, they just don't like Golden Girls, Designing Women. I mean, I didn't. I just we just started watching Designing Women this year. Like we just
Mm,
watched it for the very first time ever. Because I remember growing up.
oh my God.
Oh my god, yeah. Like when I first met Ed, he was like Golden Girls, Golden Girls, Golden Girls, and I was like, okay, it's like a bunch of old women. Like, why do I want to watch it? But then, oh my god, the just it's amazingly wonderful. So I loved that. And then we both hadn't watched. I think he'd seen some Designing Women, but not the whole series. So we started watching it from the beginning this year, and it is hysterical. It is so funny.
Uh,
And Delta Burke was one of the best characters on there. Like she
oh
just,
my God.
oh, so good.
My favorite episode was the one where Julia went off on those beauty queens.
Yeah.
And I was like, tell them, girl.
Yeah.
Like I just, I love women with attitude. So that was my
Mm-hmm.
show. I probably pretended I was on that show every week. It's like, "Oh, I work there with
Mm-hmm.
them. I've designed houses
Mm-hmm.
too."
Yeah, exactly. And I one of the things that I liked was that they didn't. I don't think that they shied away from like topics. I think they actually like really hit a lot of topics. Like they brought up AIDS and HIV. They brought up that. They brought up I think they brought up women who were beaten or like abused by men. I think that
Yeah.
was in one of the episodes. They brought up blackface when Delta wore blackface trying to be Diana Ross, and they would not let her on the
Mhm.
stage. Like girl, like it was like I saw it and I was like, when you watch those shows you realize how freaking racist or how like, oh my god, some of the things are, but at the same time there's also a lot of ahead of their time with certain topics that like
Yeah.
we like talking about, being vegetarian or vegan or like all these other things. And what's her name, um Suzanne's sister, what is her name,
Julia
Julia, yeah, Julia.
Sugarback.
Yeah, Miss Sugarbaker. Yes. Even though she played this like complete like progressive liberal like person on the show, in reality she was actually like a hardcore Republican, and a lot of people do
Yeah.
not know that. And she did not like having to be put in that position where she was like promoting or like trying to push this like very liberal agenda, but she made a deal with the producers and she says, if you make me have to stand up for something that I don't out of character believe in, then you have to give me a part or write in a part where I get to do some sort of musical like or
Oh
you know.
wow.
And so that's why she started doing a lot more musical stuff, because she made a deal with them like,
Uh,
I'll do it, but y'all are going to have me do, and so she got more airtime because of that.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, hey, you do what you have to do. I
Mhm.
think more people need to start operating that way. Use
Mhm.
it, whatever you have. Get you some
Yeah.
leverage if you need it. Like
Mhm.
I don't know. Like be brave. Stand up for yourself. You never know what you're going to get back from it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, us um, going back and like watching those old shows and those old series, it's a wake up call with a lot of things where like we're still dealing with this crap. Like this is still the
Yeah.
issue. Like Anthony, he was a convict and he had gotten out, and there was always a running joke in the show. But and Suzanne was always like, dogging on him or like picking on him about it, but they ended up becoming really good friends or close friends,
Yeah.
which was just a really interesting thing to see. But it's fascinating that there are still issues that back then were big issues that we still 30-40 years later are dealing with. And I'm just like, how is that possible? Like, are like, how is it that we made so much progress like in the last 200 years with a lot of different things, and then we suddenly like come to a grinding halt, and then we're just kind of like trying to claw our way to the next stage of our cultural conscious evolution?
Mhm. I
Mm-mm.
mean, they're intentionally ignoring it on a lot of levels. That's why, and I hate to be the conspiracy person that says the
Mm-hmm.
media, but I mean, they are pushing out what we look at,
Yeah.
and we both watched that um, social experiment, whatever that was called. I can't remember exactly, but I mean, they do have some control over what we're looking at. And if they don't intend for us to progress, then we're just going to be like, la la la. Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
love it here. It's so much fun. I have so much freedom. Look how much internet I get to use. I'm at the mall. I'm over here. I'm doing this. And meanwhile, there's a whole section of people who are suffering and being mistreated,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody at their suburban house is like, "What is that?
Mm-hmm.
Does that even exist?" You know?
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
I think in like during the 80s and 90s when we think that that was like our glory period or our glory day, I think those issues were still, I mean, I think that was all still happening, but I think it wasn't politically correct to talk about it or like advertise or promote that this was an issue in this country. It was almost like, I want to say it was unpatriotic or American to share on TV how people in our own country were suffering or going through this. And I think
right.
that, it's like it was there. We just didn't acknowledge it, or we just didn't, really appreciate the irony of it. All right, it's time for the e-reading question of the week. And this week's question is by Faith. And Faith says, how can I strengthen my abilities as a medium and connecting to spirits? So in one of my previous reading, and one of my previous questions, if this video is before that one, in one of my previous questions, I did suggest using journaling might help you with being able to establish a communication with spirits or amplify your communication with those in spirit form. You can also fall asleep and having that visual of a spirit or of a person that you want to communicate with. I think when you are going to communicate with anyone, it is important that you be very intentional with who you want to communicate with. The reason why is because you don't want to just put yourself out there to talk to anyone. I know some people get very excited. They just want to make connection or they just want to have some sort of experience. And then they open themselves up and then they find themselves having to deal with a lot of supernatural experiences and stuff that might be really scary for them to go through. So you really want to be very intentional with the way you want to communicate with them. What I would recommend is if you want to communicate with a specific family member who's passed, think of one of your favorite memories or experiences with that family member. And as you think of that, and do this right before you go to bed, and just think of that memory of being with that person and don't allow yourself to feel sad. Don't allow yourself to go into despair. Don't allow yourself to go into a lower vibratory state because in the low vibratory state, it's harder for them to come through and communicate with us. It's like this, imagine that, we here in the physical world, in the earthly plane, are in a swimming pool. And those of us who are in despair and who are in pain and in fear, we're at the bottom of the pool. Those who are in spirit form are outside of the pool, hanging out at the edge, looking down at us in the water. And so, if we want to communicate with them, it's probably going to be easier if we can bring ourselves up to the surface and just get close enough so that we can at least see what's going on or get a good idea or some, aspect or feeling of what's going on the outside of the pool on the edge. But if we're at the bottom of the pool, it's going to be really hard to figure out what's going on, and they're not going to be able to reach us either. And it's going to be easier to probably hear them when we're closer to the edge of the water. So it's the same thing with spirits. They exist on a higher vibrational scale, a higher frequency of energy. We're on a lower energy here in the physical world. And if we're in despair, we're at the bottom of the pool. It makes it really hard for them to communicate with us. So in order for them to reach us and to have an easier time of communicating with us, we've got to build a bridge. And the best way to build a bridge is to raise our energy up to a higher state of being, which is something I do every single day before my sessions, and then make it easy to amplify that signal of that person. Assuming that you're wanting to connect with a loved one, assuming that you probably have memories of that person, the best way to do that is just to tap into the power and the emotional energy of the memory, the good and happy memories you've had, and then remember those things. Go through them and replay them in your mind, replay them in your energy and your state of being. And as you fall asleep, think of these happy moments. Don't let yourself go down into despair. Just think of these happy moments and ask this person to, I'm open and available to you. Come and talk to me, share something with me, whatever. Don't tell them what to show you or what to give you because that makes it harder. It's almost like, hey, I want you to be able to reach me at the bottom of the pool. And by the way, I also want you to do like a few flips. And I also want you to be able to it's like, don't make it harder for them. Try to make it as easy as possible because in that, it opens it up so that they can have more opportunities to get something to you to let you know that they're around you. If you can do that a few nights in a row, definitely amplify the energy for you to be able to receive some sort of communication from them. Another thing that you can do is you can simply
Go to a place where you feel very safe or where you feel very light or where you feel better. I like to go out to nature and think of that person when you're going out to this place that is very, very positive and uplifting, and just talk to them. Just talk to them. If you can do that on a regular basis, just by the simple, you don't have to hear back from them right away. Just talk to them and just say, however they want to answer you is however they want to answer you. Just talk to them, because what will start to happen is they're going to start to look for opportunities to communicate with you. At first, it may be signs. At first, it may be some sort of a symbolic message, whether it's sending you birds or butterflies or you seeing repeating numbers. But over time, the more you continue to talk to them as if they are there, it's making it easier, because your mind is going to start to kind of rework itself to make itself possible to receive the answer. Because as humans, we always, when we ask questions, we expect an answer. So the more you do that, the more the brain will start to rework itself to try to figure out what's the best way to make sense of the answer or the response that you're going to get from those spirits. Also know that spirits are always communicating with us as well, and what they do is they trigger our thoughts, our emotions, and our memories. If you're expecting them to just show up in front of you or to be a sound in your ear as someone talking, you're expecting too much, and it takes a lot of energy for them to do that, and they don't do that very often. So the best way to communicate is through telepathy, using your thoughts, your emotions, and your memories. So if your thoughts and emotions and memories begin to go random when you're talking to a spirit or asking them questions, and you start having random thoughts, emotions, memories, pay attention, write down those impressions, because the more you pay attention to that, the more you're going to start to notice that there's patterns and there's pieces of information that are significant and relevant to the question in that. Okay. Hello.
Hi.
How you doing, sweetheart?
Good. How are you?
Good. What did you
Sorry,
want to
let me
ask?
go into the other room.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. What did you want to ask me?
So I had a stepsister who passed away
Mm-hmm.
suddenly, and
Mm-hmm.
I also had a friend, his name was Justin, who also passed away suddenly.
Okay, so
So I
with the
wanted to
steps,
see if there are any messages from
yeah.
them.
So with the stepsister, so immediately with the stepsister, she's pointing to herself. So she's making me feel like either she may have contributed or she may have brought about her own demise. Do you know if she actually contributed to her own passing?
No.
Okay. She's also pointing to her lungs, and I feel like my lungs are like they're not able to. I can't breathe. I can't breathe, and that's the way she's making me feel. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. She also makes me feel. Thank you. Was there actually like a hit on her lungs or a hit in her chest? Because she's making. I almost feel this way. Like I want to collapse in on my lungs. That's how she's making me feel.
No, she actually passed away from epilepsy.
Mm. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Then this. Okay.
So,
She's. I'm asking her like, okay, why did you point to yourself? She's still pointing to herself.
well, her
So
daughter was with her, and she was only one when it happened. So her
okay.
daughter was kind of jumping on her, trying to figure out what was wrong.
Oh, okay. Got it. Because I feel like something's hitting me on my chest. Got it. So if her daughter's trying to jump on her or whatever, that may have been what she's talking about. Do you know if she was taking 3 different types of medications and there was an injection she was supposed to get for something else?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like all of this kind of contributed and brought about like the reaction within her body. I also feel that she was trying to wean off or get away from one medication. Was she like a big proponent of like, I'm going to treat myself, or I want to go natural, or I want to.
Yeah.
I feel like
Not
she
only
like.
that, there were a ton of medications that they put her on, and it was to the point that there was nothing they could do for her.
Yeah, so she's making me feel like she may not have, thank you. She's putting her hand over her mouth, which first of all, which means I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. But it also means I didn't say everything to everybody, or I wasn't reporting to everybody what else was going on. She also talks about she had hurt herself, or something happened when she was in the shower, she was in the bathroom, and there might have even been a mark on her. And people thought, well, what happened to your leg? She's like, oh, I just tripped or I banged myself. Do you remember something like that? Seeing something like that?
I don't.
Okay.
We weren't talking towards her past.
That's okay, because she's acknowledging like she had it. She had. I almost feel like she had a minor seizure and didn't even tell anybody about it, and she like fallen in the tub where she hit herself because she's
Seems
just
like her.
got it. She's very prideful. She's a very proud person. She doesn't ever want to admit to being weak. She's also very critical. She wants to take the time to apologize to you because she feels that she criticized you and tried to make you feel
crappy about yourself at times, and she didn't mean to say that. And so she's like, I'm sorry if I ever made you feel like you weren't good enough, or like, you know, like I was better than you or whatever. But it was an issue that she had always dealt with when she was younger. She makes me feel, did her parents not stay together when she was younger? Okay, because she makes me feel like that was the beginning of when she started to feel the rejection. And it's almost like anytime she would get the chance, she tried to make herself look bigger, make herself look better. And so she had a big issue with this. She also, thank you, doves are going to be a connection to her. She also keeps acknowledging white feathers or white feather boas, which might sound weird. So if someone ever hands you a white boa, that's from her, because she's making me feel that way. She's writing on my skin, did you think about getting a tattoo and then you went against it, or you decided not to? Yeah, because she's like, don't make yourself ugly. Like, I don't know, she wasn't into tattoos, or she didn't want you to mess up your skin, but she's acknowledging that as well. There's a baby with her in spirit. Do you know of a child that was miscarried, lost, or terminated? Because she's acknowledging the baby. Okay, so she's acknowledging that. Also, who's Ben or Benjamin or Ben or
I know she had a
Ben or Bud
at the time, and he's still in her daughter's life, but I don't know his name.
That's okay. There's a Ben or a Bud, because I feel like it's a short B name, and it's almost like 3 letters, because that's the way she's doing it. Or Bon. It's like there's a nickname or a name like that, but she's referencing that. Also, is there a Melanie or a Melissa name, also a M-E or M-E-L?
Not that I know of. No.
Okay. The M-E-L, I feel, is someone that's with her. So someone who's passed, who is M-E-L, like Melissa or Melanie or Melinda. It's got an M-E-L kind of sounding name, so there's a woman that's there as well. She also keeps, thank you. She wants to say hi to your dad. So she's acknowledging your dad and wanting, thank you. She just showed birthday. Do you know if we're within 30 days of a birthday, or if there's a birthday within 30 days?
My sister's birthday just passed.
Oh, got it. So she's acknowledging herself. She wants to acknowledge your dad. So she wants to make sure she says hello to your dad. She also said, thank you. I'm sorry. Did she give your dad a hard time, or did she not always like make it easy for him?
Yeah, no.
Okay. She's apologizing for putting him through hell in a handbasket, because she makes me feel like she didn't always like do what she needed to do to be a good daughter, but she wants him to know that he was a good dad, and she wants to give him props for that. She also says, congratulations. Did someone just find out that they were pregnant?
No, not that I know of.
You might want to go get tested. You might want to go get tested.
Okay.
Because she's giving me like congratulations. So there might be a pregnancy in the family. She's also repeating her name. So someone might take her name and reuse her name as well, because she's acknowledging that as well. She's giving you a unicorn. Do you have a horse or unicorn connection to her?
Our sister might, yeah.
Okay, because she's showing me this. I also feel like I'm looking at a shirt. So there might be a shirt with a rainbow, a shirt with a unicorn. There's something about this, because she's making reference to that as well. She also says that it's a lot easier up there than people realize, and that she's like, she's funny. She's kind of sarcastic. She's like, had I known it was gonna be like this, I would have jumped off a bridge years ago. Like, that's how crazy she is. So she's like, yeah.
She is.
Yeah, she did show up in your dream, but you may have not seen her head, or you may have only seen a part of a body, but she's acknowledging that she showed up. She's okay. She's like totally okay. She also says you don't have to pray for her. So I don't know if there's like a pushy praying approach. Was her family very religious, or do you know if she had like a very religious upbringing?
So her dad, my stepdad, our dad is very religious, as well as my mom. Super religious.
Okay. She's acknowledged. She's like, you don't have to pray for me. She's like, you can just think of me and love me. I got it. So she's almost rolling her eyes at them. So it's kind of funny. She's like a smartass. She thinks she knows everything. I'm like, you're not that smart, sweetheart. You're there. You're not here anymore. But she's just like, no, she's like very in love with herself. Let's put it that way.
She is.
You said there was a friend that passed also, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know if there was an impact relation to his passing? Because I feel impact, and I'm almost seeing my head as well. Do you know if something also affected his head or his brain?
Yep.
Okay. He also keeps acknowledging, thank you. I wasn't paying attention, or I wasn't watching what I was doing. So do you know if he actually contributed to this, or he put himself in a situation where he didn't pay attention and it caused the impact?
He was drunk.
Oh, we're good.
And yeah, and he
Got
was
it.
driving
Got it.
a
Well, he was
motorcycle.
trying to use his phone at the same time. He was trying to do two things at the same time, and then he wasn't watching what he was doing either. So he's kind of acknowledging this. This wasn't the first time he had had a vehicle accident, though, because he's acknowledging that he had done this before. He also says that people tried to warn him that this could lead. It's almost like, it's not a surprise I'm here. Like, it's, I don't know why anybody's surprised. Like, it's almost like people would have expected him to pass at an early age because he comes across that way. He's showing me this. Did people make bracelets for him, or just does that
Yes.
connection to this? Because he's acknowledging that. He
Yes.
also is showing me tattoos. Are there 4 tattoos connected to him?
Yes, a bunch of our friends got tattoos for him.
Got it. He's acknowledging that. He also says he pulled or yanked on your hair, and you may have even thought your hair was stuck to something for a bit. So
wow.
do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Because he's acknowledging that as well. He also says, I don't like you in pink.
Okay.
So I don't know if you wore pink once, or there's something about you wearing pink, or you trying to wear a pink dress. But he's like, I don't like you in pink. So I don't know what that's about. It's funny because, you know what it reminds me of? Like whenever someone's going to get married and people are wearing their bridesmaid dresses, that's what I'm reminded of. So I don't know if there's going to be a wedding and you're preparing for this, or there's something about wearing pink dresses, but there's something there he's making reference to. He also, thank you. He's doing something funny. He's almost like doing this like with his nose, but he's like trying to make a face. I wouldn't even be surprised if there's a picture of him doing like this or trying to like pretend like he's poking someone's nose.
Yeah.
But he's acknowledging that.
Yeah.
He says that I am proud of you for standing up for yourself. He also says I don't want anyone to talk so disrespectfully to you. And did you have to put your foot down with another male, or did you have to kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
He's wanting to let you know like he's aware and like he's glad you stood up for yourself. He also says you can totally be, thank you, you can totally get on camera, or you can totally do a show. He says don't let anybody tell you that you're crazy. So I don't know if you're wanting to do like online YouTube channel or videos or stuff, but he's like, you can do it. Don't let anybody tell you you're crazy.
Okay.
Okay. They're okay. They're with you.
Perfect.
They're with you. There's another guy with him as well, but that's a military passing. So someone who passed connected to the military.
Okay.
So he's got someone with them. Yeah. And it might be like his brother or his cousin, but this, it almost feels like it's someone, right? Rodney or
Ryan.
Could be. Is that a military?
So his cousin just passed about a couple of months after he did.
Yeah. He's just letting us know that the cousin's there with him.
Okay.
All right, Mama. You
Thank
take
you
care of
so
yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetheart. Hello. How are you?
Fine. I'm so excited to connect with you.
Oh, good. Excellent. Excellent. Well, what did you want to ask me?
I would love to hear from my adoptive parents.
Okay.
I've never heard from my mom and my dad.
Got it. So there are 3 females, and they've also got 2 males. Is your biological mother also passed?
Yes.
Okay. She's making her presence known. And then there's another mother figure. Did you also have an aunt who was kind of like a mother figure?
Yes, her twin.
Yeah, so the 3 females are there. So the 3 mother figures to you are there. Your mom is wanting to let you know that, first of all, she says, you look just as beautiful. Don't worry, don't worry. So I don't know if you've been like giving yourself a hard time, but she's like, you look just as beautiful. Don't worry, don't worry. Thank you. Your adopted mother, she's also doing this around her wrist. Do you know there's a bracelet or something? Because she's acknowledging that. Do you also have the 2 rings? Actually, 3 rings, because she's acknowledging 3 rings.
I don't have a ring.
That's okay.
I have her bracelet.
Got it. So she's acknowledging the bracelet. There are 3 rings that are also connected or maybe significant. No, you know what? She's still, I'm asking about the rings. Did she ever gift you 3 separate rings on 3 separate occasions?
Which, no, this is my adoptive mother?
Yeah.
My biological.
I'm thinking your adoptive mother.
I don't know. I don't have her rings. The bracelets I do have of my biological mother.
Okay, that's okay. They're wanting to acknowledge the bracelets, but there's also 3. There's either 3 rings or rings and 3. So I don't know what the combination is, but she's referencing that. She also keeps referencing. Thank you. Is there a Dottie or Diddy or Dottie or Dodie name connection?
There's Doreen. I'm the daughter. Dor. But I don't. Yeah, Dor.
Oh,
Doreen.
okay. And is there another D?
Well, Daddy is like.
No. I think it might be. But did they call you by a nickname like Dory or Dari or?
No, Tiki. Tiki is my.
Huh. I mean, they might be trying to give me your name, and I'm totally like getting that all twisted in my head. But the way I want to, So the reason why I came up with Dottie, do you remember the movie A League of Their Own with Gina Davis?
Yeah.
Okay, there was a character named Dottie, which is why her name was
Oh
Dottie.
my God, my mom was the queen of baseball, softball. She coached softball.
Ah, that's it. That's it. So she's acknowledging a league of because that's why I got Dottie from like, why am I saying
and her best girlfriend in St. Louis that I grew up with was Dottie, whom I loved, and she wore the same perfume and smoked just like my biological mother. And
got it. So this is what they're doing. Your mom's laughing because she says they're playing baseball games up there and she's whipping everybody's ass. So she's almost like acknowledging, like beating everybody down.
If it had a bat, a ball, a scoreboard, a stick,
yeah,
a puck, she was on it.
That's funny. Well, she's enjoying herself. She's having a good time. She is, thank you. Your biological mother, she's got a few things to say. First of all, she loves you and she wants to be absolutely crystal clear that you understand that she 100% loves you. She also wants you to know that life was not easy to her and that she just really couldn't cope and that she didn't feel that she could do that to you. So she almost feels like giving you away was actually a gesture of love, not necessarily because she didn't want you. Do you understand that? Okay.
Yeah, I have a letter she wrote.
Okay, got it. Because she wants to be absolutely clear. She also says that she. Okay. Are you a mom? Because she's referring to you as mom. Okay. Because she's like acknowledging you being a great mother or you are a great mother and that she says you're her hero. So your biological mom says you're her hero and that she 100% is so proud of you and that she's happy that you were loved the way that you were. Because she says, I made the right decision. So she's acknowledging that, but she says, I loved you and you were in good hands. Yeah. She also, she showed me the month of May. Is there a connection to the month of May or the 5th of a month?
You did this to when we connect. You did reading. So my Nana, her mother, whom I never met, passed away on May 5th. My first Holy Communion was May 5th. So there's 5, 5, 5, 5, 5.
Oh wow! Right? Yeah, that's a lot of fives. Okay, got it.
And she was a novitiate in the convent. My biological mother.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So and she left the convent. And so.
Got it. You might actually see 555 aligned in places and in times because they're showing me the number sequence 555 and then also 1111. So both of those are going to be popping up for you because they're acknowledging that. Who was in band or played the trumpet or played the flute?
Mommy! Oh my God!
Yeah, because I'm like hearing this, like, what's going on here? So she's doing this whole bit. So
Mommy played. Oh my God! My adopted mother played the trumpet.
She's like taking over the. She's like taking over the. So she's totally bringing through her personality. Wanted to make sure I get her. She says your daddy's here, so she's wanting to acknowledge daddy. Did he? Is there a picture of you learning how to drive, or him teaching you, or like when you got your first car?
I don't really have a picture of me with him with the car.
No, he took a picture of you.
Together.
Do you remember if he took a picture of you when you got your first car or because he showed me a picture of you, like it's his favorite picture. Okay. You would have had were you like a lot blonder when you were younger?
No, I'm pretty much the same. Going gray now, more blonder now.
Well, I'm seeing like a gold blonde, so I'm like a Goldie Hawn blonde. So I'm seeing a blonder hair. But you were in the sun and it looks kind of orangey blonde. So when you look in the sun in the picture, your hair was kind of like that. So there's a picture like this because they're showing me a picture. But you had just gotten your first car, or you may have just gotten a new car. But there was a picture that he's just acknowledging or making reference to. Your dad sends you birds. So birds are a symbol from him. Feathers are a symbol from him. He also says that he taps on the window or he taps on the door. So you might hear a weird tapping sound every now and then because he's acknowledging that. And the doorbell might even ring as well.
I actually asked for a sign for my spirit guides today. I don't even know what bird this would have come from, but I picked the neighbor's dog up, walked on their driveway. There was nothing there. Walked around the street and came back. And I don't even know what this would have, but look at how big it is.
Yeah,
and I live in the city, so I don't know what that is.
Yeah, your dad's wanting you to know that's from him. That's a gift from him. And that he got the message, but he wanted to gift you. So he's just acknowledging that. Did you go to Colorado or are you planning on going to Colorado?
I used to go to Colorado all the time skiing.
Yeah, they're acknowledging like sometimes going back to some of the things that really gave us the most amount of joy, where we had the greatest memories, will help us to heal. And they're like, you're not alone. Stop it. You're not alone. You need to push yourself forward and bring back some of the things that we had fun doing.
I visited my daughter in Calgary, and for the first time I saw the Rockies in like 20 years.
Yeah.
Sorry, 40 years, whatever. I'm trying to forget how old I am. And I cried, and I was like bawling, and I said, like, I didn't even realize this was going to move me like it did. And she's like, you know, that's why I wanted to be driving. You know? And it was the Rockies, right? But in Canada, not the States.
Yeah, because they go all the way up there. Yeah. Yeah, they're wanting to push you to do more of these adventures and do more of this stuff, because they're acknowledging, like, you only live once, and they're like, some of the things they would have done, they totally would have done it differently had.
They took me to the Rockies.
Yeah, that makes sense. So have more adventures. They're with you. They also did show up in your daughter's dream, so just FYI to let her know.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Ferny. Oh
You're
my
welcome,
God,
sweetheart.
that was amazing.
You're welcome, sweetheart.